Welcome back to another video of the Java tutorial. In this video we will be discussing about while loops, for loops and arrays. We will also be discussing briefly about break and continue, which we touched on break in the last video about switch and if statements. We touched on it in the switch statement. So starting off with the while loops. So a loop is anything that allows the execution of some code repeatedly. So for example, this code. So for this, this is the structure of a while loop. Yeah, so this is the structure of a while loop. This is just an example of a simple countdown system. So it starts its countdown at 10 and then uh, it ends at 0. So as you can see, for the while loop, I first need to have an assignment operator over here where I've initialized the value of count as 10. Count is just a variable, as you can see, and I'm using this while over here that shows that a while loop is occurring, and this is the condition. Remember when we covered the condition comparison operators in the last video for if statements? This is the same is occurring here, but I don't think we covered what this comparison operator means. This just means not equal to. So let me form this while loop into English. While count is not equal to 0, the code below will be outputted or it will be performed. In this case, it will both be outputted and performed. So if I output this, there should be a simple countdown system with the output time is up once the loop finishes. The loop finishes when this count value, when the compiler sees that count becomes 0 and then 0 is obviously equal to 0, which skips the while loop. Yeah, as you can see, this is as you can see, the value of count is decreasing constantly. Because of this, I'm decrementing count by 1. This just means, yeah, as I said, I'm decrementing count by 1. We covered this also in we also covered this. And next thing, another example of count of while loops is I'll put a more simple one. Yeah, we can just have the same output. Actually, I'll just put count. This is just to make this more simple. And make sure make sure to have as an increment step or a decrement step whenever doing a while loop, because a runtime error will occur if this is not done. A runtime error is basically when there's no way for the loop to ever end, which means that the loop will run infinitely, which which is just an error because nothing will happen apart from the loop just constantly running and running over and over again. So I'm gonna run this. Yeah, as you can see, this time it's going up because I incremented instead of decremented. So it's starting from 0 because count I started it at 0. If I switch the order of these two, then the value of count starts from 1. And we don't necessarily need to just increment by 1. We can increment or decrement by any value we want. I'm just doing this for 1 for simplicity. Now, moving on to the for loops. We will revisit we will come across for loops and arrays as well. So this is really important for this video. So for loops, this is the structure of a for loop. As you can see, it is slightly more confusing than a while loop because this first line looks a bit strange. So let me break it down. So this is this part. As you can see, I is just a variable. I'm just assigning a variable to the value of 0. And this is just a comparison operator. Like if this is just a comparison operator where I'm comparing I to being smaller than 50. So until I is smaller than 50, this loop will keep running. So in this case, I will keep getting outputted. And over here, I'm just incrementing I by 1. So each time this loop runs, I will get incremented. So eventually, I will reach 50, and this loop condition will become false, which means that the loop will just stop running. The loop will finish. So I'll run this. Yeah, as you can see, it starts at 0 because I put 0 here. And it keeps going until 49. It doesn't go to 50 because I put this as the comparison operator. Which means that if I becomes 50, then the loop just stops. It doesn't go to 50. I mean, it doesn't output 50. Now moving on to arrays. Yeah, so moving on to arrays. So in array, as you can see, this is the structure of an array. The, for an array, you need to specify the data type every time. In this case, the data type double is just used for decimals. As you can see, which is the name of the array. This makes you wonder probably that why do arrays seem like they look very similar to data types? Like the structure is quite similar. Because they are a type of data, they are a data type. So it's basically just a list of numbers or a list of anything, a list of just characters, numbers of or any data type. So this is arrays in essence. So moving on to this part. So this is just a way to we covered this in the index of method in the last class. So I mean in the last to last class we saw something very similar to this, which was whenever we are getting access to whenever we're trying to get access from an element, I mean an array, we're getting an element from an array, it always starts at 0. This always starts at 0. So if I do this, if I start it off at 0, the output will be 1 in this case. Yeah. So this shows that it always starts at 0. So then if we move to our original example at 3, the output will be 4 this time. Which seems a bit counterintuitive, I know. But this is just how it works. Yeah. Now I'll show another example. Let's say we did 6 instead. So can you guess which number will be outputted in this case? Let's see if you're right. Did you get it? Did you think of 7? If you did, congratulations. Now moving Now this is the part where for loops come back in this video. So this is just the process of looping through or iterating through an array, which just means that we are outputting the elements of an array. So outputting the elements of an array. I will run this code to give an example of what that looks like. So in this case, the output will be red, blue, green, yellow, and orange. Yeah, this is this works because I previously mentioned the structure of a for loop. So it starts with being equal to 0. It can be equal to any number, but I'm just showing it as equal to 0 to make it simple. And you might be wondering what colors.length means. So colors.length basically means the number of elements in the colors array. So in this case, it would be 5. So this this is just basically equal to 5 colors.length. And obviously we're incrementing I over here by 1. And over here we're outputting the ith element of the colors array. So ith element basically means if I is 1, I mean if I is 0, then that basically means the first element of the array, because remember in the previous section I showed you that when a value in an array like this is 0, then the first element of an array will be outputted. It always starts at 0. Now we can also incorporate if statements into this. And this is a good example to show how break and continue work. So I already explained what break is in the last lesson, but I'll re-explain it here. So break is just when it's just a statement that can be put into that if for example I change this array, I make it integer instead, and then instead of this I just put numbers from 1 to 5. And I'll change the data type to make it see more understandable, and I'll replace colors with the new array new array name. So In this case, the output will be the exact same. It will be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 instead of red, blue, green, yellow, orange. And to put and if I compare, if I want to find the sum of these elements, I have to. If I want to find the largest and the smallest value in this array, then I'll go over this largest and smallest value first, and then we can go through arrays. Wait. And then we can go through break and continue. Now this I put min and minimum as a really large number just so that when I compare it, minimum will be larger in this first one, so then minimum will be replaced with whatever first element of the numbers array. So in this case, the maximum, the max will be equal to 5, and min will be equal to 1.